Genshin Impact just released a Song of the Welkin Moon teaser, Moonlit Ballad of the Night, so guess who's not sleeping tonight? All of us, I'm pretty sure all of us. We're going to break it down scene by scene because this teaser is rich with lore, ancient history, and foreshadowing for what's to come in the highly anticipated Nod Cry. This is my initial analysis, but there's definitely going to be a deeper part 2 video because this teaser is absolutely packed. I actually had an hour-long Nod Cry video that I've been working on for about 2 months now, but I definitely have to add more to it because of this teaser. But before we dive into the scenes themselves, there's some crucial backstory you need to carry with you going into Nod Cry. This is, without exaggeration, one of the most important pieces of ancient Teyvat history we've ever been given, and it'll make what's about to happen in Nod Cry a lot easier to understand, trust me. Long before humans walked Teyvat, it was a world ruled by dragons and the 7 sovereigns. Presiding above them all was the Dragon King Nibelung. He was the original ruler of the planet. Then came the invasion from beyond. An alien god known to us as the Heavenly Principles descended upon Teyvat. This god defeated the dragons, claimed the entire world, and created humans. From that moment forward, Teyvat began to shift. Dragons were cast aside and the era of humankind began. But the Dragon King Nibelung didn't accept defeat quietly. In an attempt to reclaim his world, he ventured beyond Teyvat and returned with forbidden knowledge from the Abyss. With this newfound power, he launched a second war against the Heavenly Principles, what Neuvillette refers to as the Great War of Vengeance. At first, Nibelung was depicted in murals as a white dragon, but the corruption of the Abyss twisted him into a darker form. The Great War of Vengeance caused massive destruction, nearly bringing the entire world to ruin. Though Nibelung believed the power of the Abyss would grant him victory, it ultimately led to his demise and the near extinction of his kin. In the aftermath, the Heavenly Principles cast down the Celestial Nails to try to repair the world. But these divine devices also devastated the ancient civilizations in Teyvat, even the human civilizations. So remember, there were 2 great wars in Teyvat's ancient history. The first where the Heavenly Principles conquered the dragons, and the second where Nibelung returned, seeking revenge with the power of the Abyss. Now that we've covered that, let's look at one of the earliest lines in the teaser. It was not until the funerary year that the primordial voice once again cried out in the darkness. This is a direct reference to the Before Sun and Moon books found in Enkanomiya, books so dangerous that Otobashi was executed by order of Celestia just for reading them. The Funerary Year chapter describes the very war we just discussed, Nibelung's War of Vengeance and the darkness it ushered in. So this teaser is intentionally anchoring itself in the deepest roots of Genshin's lore. So how do the moons tie into all of this? The 3 moons of Teyvat are also known as the 3 moon sisters, Arya, Sonnet, and Canon. They were goddesses who also served as Teyvat's moons. Teyvat had 3 moons in the sky in the past. Some refer to them as the iridescent moon, the eternal moon, and the frost moon, but we don't yet know which name matches which sister. The teaser states that the primordial being that once ruled this planet made 3 moons rise from the earth. Normally, we'd assume primordial being refers to the Heavenly Principles, but in this case, it likely refers to Nibelung. In early murals, he's shown presiding over Teyvat with the 3 moons in front of him. After the Heavenly Principles won the first war, they took control of the moons. But during the second war, the Great War of Vengeance, Nibelung's return, 2 moons were destroyed and only 1 survived. Now let's break down the scenes from the teaser. First, we see Varka, the long-awaited Grandmaster of the Knights of Favonius, in all his beefy glory, with the wolf's gravestone on his back. If you watch a teaser with subs, what he says is actually more interesting. I came here for the moon, Mondstadt. This is Genshin Impact, so there are no coincidences. Mondstadt literally translates to Moon City in German. A theory implication here suggests that long before the Archon War, the region that would become Mondstadt was a civilization that worshipped the moons. Theoretically, after the Archons came into power, their worship could have replaced the moons. But in Nod Cry, it's said that the power of the moon was used to keep the Abyss at bay, specifically the Wild Hunt, the most terrifying manifestation of the Abyss we've ever seen. If Mondstadt was originally aligned with the moon, then Varka's journey might be about reclaiming that heritage, to defend his homeland using its oldest power. Varka may have come to Nodcry to learn how to harness the power of the moon so he can protect Mondstadt if Teyvat is plunged into darkness once again. After all, Alice warns us that the borders of Teyvat are weakening. Teyvat is doomed yet again, but this time we'll be here to experience it. Next, we meet Aino, likely the leader of the Clink Clank Crumb Cake craft shop and a genius inventor. She designed Inefa, the first playable character from Nodcry in version 5.8. Inefa appears in the teaser alongside Durin and Jahoda. Jahoda remarks the moon's a long way off. We might go hungry, but at least we have plenty of time. This implies that they might be on a journey to find the Frost Moon, possibly the location where we later see Columbina. And we finally see Durin. Originally a dragon created by the Hexenzirkel witch Anders' daughter, Durin was given a humanoid form by Albedo in the Paralogism Archon quest. This teaser gives us our first proper look at him in that new form. Based on the 5.8 trailer, we know Inefa leaves Nodcry, which means this teaser is set before the events of the upcoming Archon quest. Now, remember how the power of the moon was used to repel the Wild Hunt? In this teaser, we see that moonlight becoming a flame in a lantern held by Flyns, our first character from the Lightkeepers. The Lightkeepers were ancient protectors of Nodcry who worked with the Frostmoon Scions to wield the power of the Frost Moon. Their founder, the Torchforger, struck a deal with the Tsaritsa centuries ago, promising to protect both Snezhnaya and Nodcry in exchange for Nodcry's independence. But after the Cataclysm, the Fatui broke that treaty. They abandoned the Lightkeepers to the Wild Hunt and allowed them to be nearly wiped out. With the Lightkeepers no longer a threat, the Tore moved in and built his stronghold. So yeah, it's pretty clear the Lightkeepers and probably the Frostmoon Scions too aren't exactly fans of the Fatui. Some players managed to translate the glowing text on the tombstone, which reads, "In sacred tribute to Chudomir the Arni Valkea." At first I thought this might be the name of one of Flynn's relatives or ancestors, maybe even the legendary Torchforger himself. But then I looked up the word Arni Valkea. In Finnish folklore, it refers to a will-o'-the-wisp that dances above a hidden treasure. Does that mean this is the grave of a Seelie? It's possible this could be the resting place of a Seelie companion that fought alongside Flynn's family. Or, hear me out, maybe one of Flynn's ancestors actually fell in love with a Seelie. And that's not unheard of. Historically, when Seelie still existed in their full angelic forms, we know of at least one who fell in love with a human. So, who knows? Maybe this grave marks the legacy of that kind of bond. Then we get a closer look at Sandrone, the Fatui Harbinger. She refers to the Frostmoon Scions as a laughably futile rebellion. It's worth noting that Sandrone appears to have a mechanical key embedded in her back, suggesting she may completely be a puppet or robot, a literal marionette. She definitely warrants a deep dive video of her own because there's a lot of lore surrounding her that we won't fully unpack here because I want to go to sleep. I have a couple videos about her in the meantime, but I promise I'll do a fuller video on her very soon. Next, we see Lauma, a priestess of the Frostmoon Scions. Her people, the Frostmoon Scions, or Moon Children, fled their golden homeland of Hyperborea thousands of years ago and settled on Hisi Island in Nodcry. In ancient times, one of their priestesses lent her light to the Torchforger to build a lighthouse that would protect Nodcry from the Wild Hunt. In the teaser, we see Lauma perform a blood sacrifice, pleading for the Frostmoon's light to shine on Nodcry once again. And we see her blood glowing with moonlight. Then comes Nefer, a storyteller whose name might be a reference to Nefertiti. I honestly thought with her name and appearance she'd be a character from Sumeru, but she's here in Nodcry and she appears to be working with Farka. Nefer mentions that a greater storyteller than herself has arrived, and that's when we see her, Nicole Rain, the enigmatic witch of the Hexenzirkel. We've actually heard her before. She was the mysterious voice who appeared during the Sumeru Archon quests and offered help during Fontaine's story as well. For the longest time, we suspected Nicole might be a Seelie, and now we finally get a soft confirmation. According to the Natlan Archon quest, Seelies are angels. And in this teaser, we see Nicole's wings and halo begin to glow. Her eyes also shine in the shape of true primogems. Personally, I couldn't help but smile. Years ago, I toyed with the theory that the people of Conria might be distant descendants of the Seelies, all because of that one haunting little book, The Pale Princess and the Six Pygmies. So seeing Nicole with true Seelie features and glowing wings and primogem eyes kind of feels like a full circle moment. Nicole is a powerful prophetess. She's known among the Hexen Circle as the guide who will never get lost because she always shows up to help those in need. She speaks directly into people's minds without warning and might actually be mute. She once described herself as suffocated by her inability to speak. Even Wolfie references her as the quiet friend of Madame Mage who communicates telepathically. In this teaser, she delivers a chilling prophecy. Beyond the moonlight's reach, an ancient shadow brandishes its hunting claws, taking aim at the stars. I think this line could be referencing one of two things. First, it might refer to Nibelung. According to the finale of the Deep Galleries, he was warned of the destruction of his kind and tried to lead the dragons to safety towards the stars. He oversaw a space elevator project that would carry his people beyond Teyvat. But before they could leave, it's believed the Heavenly Principles attacked and destroyed their efforts. Alternatively, Nicole's words might also be pointing to the Wild Hunt, the monstrous force tied to the Abyss and likely the main antagonist of Nodcry, a creature or its leader lurking beyond the moonlight's protection, now reaching for the stars. Honestly, the idea of a reborn Nibelung being the leader of the Wild Hunt both terrifies and excites me, but personally, I'm hoping the real leader is someone else. Someone we'll be talking about very soon. We also see Columbina, the third of the Fatui Harbingers, who is now referred to as the Moon Maiden. We've explored her significance before in our breakdown of the God's Limits teaser, but let me quickly recap it here. The Seelies are almost certainly connected to the Moon Sisters. Think of it like this: when the 3 moons of Teyvat fell, the angelic race of Seelies fell with them. Once divine beings, they were cursed and reduced to the glowing wisp-like creatures we see today. Their downfall mirrored the collapse of the moons themselves. And in the Song of the Welkin Moon web event, we're told that from the ashes of the fallen moons, a new moon will rise. That brings us back to Columbina. The upcoming Nodcry patch might be titled Night of the Still Mist, Rise of the New Moon. The Fatui Harbingers are searching for Columbina, and in this teaser, we see her in a strange, haunting realm beneath a moon that looks like it's on the verge of crashing into Teyvat. The moon just looks uncomfortably close. She stands alone in a mysterious field of flowers, saying that the fall of the moon is nigh. The theory here is that Columbina may be a vessel for a new moon goddess. Her design is full of angelic Seelie-like symbolism after all. If the Seelies were once deeply tied to the power of the moons, then it makes sense that a Seelie, or someone descended from them, could become the incarnation of a new moon goddess, rising to replace the ones lost in the Great War of Vengeance. Of course, the Frost Moon is still hanging in the sky for now. But Enefa's story in the 5.8 trailer suggests something much darker. It's heavily implied that the moon, maybe the Frost Moon, was pulled down by some external force. Whether it was the Wild Hunt or the Fatui isn't entirely clear, but let's think for a sec. That massive Fatui machine we've seen in Nodcry? What if its purpose was to drag the moon out of the sky? If that's the case, the Frost Moon might already be destroyed by the time we arrive in Nodcry. And with all 3 moons gone, the conditions would finally be right for a new moon to rise from the ashes of the old. Perhaps that was the Fatui's plan all along, to bring down the final moon and trigger the rebirth of a new moon goddess. And Columbina may be the vessel they've been preparing for that very purpose. And just when you think the teaser has shown its final card, we get one of the most surprising reveals yet. Alice. Yes, the Alice. Mondstadt's most mysterious adventurer, renowned mage, and author of the Teyvat Travel Guide. She's finally here, and her design does not disappoint. I mean, the hat alone is iconic. Honestly, every single character from Nodcry looks stunning, but seeing Alice at last feels like a major lore milestone. Alongside her, we'll also see returning characters like Albedo, Yelan, and Wanderer, each of whom will likely play an important role in the upcoming Nodcry Archon quests. But the real intrigue lies in the note Alice holds in her hand. On it are 3 names: Aralos, Solnari, and Canon. At first glance, the initials clearly match the 3 Moon Sisters, Arya, Sonnet, and Canon. But I don't think it's just a simple nod to their names. Get it? See what I did there? It's 4 AM, but I think there's much more going on here. The name that immediately stands out is Solnari. That's because Reyrir, Reyhir of Solnari, is one of the 5 sinners of Conria. In other languages, the title translates to Moon Hunter or Avenger of Solnari. We've speculated before that Rayrir might be the leader of the Wild Hunt, the destructive force tied to the Abyss and Nodcry. If Solnari is an alternate name for one of the three Moon Sisters, the implications are massive. There's long been the implication that the Moon Sisters turned on one another, and only one of the three survived. If that's true, then the Avenger of Solnari might be a reference to vengeance against the sister who betrayed or killed Solnari. That would tie the Sinners, the Wild Hunt, and the Moon mythology together in a more tragic way than we initially expected. But this is Genshin Impact, so I expect a lot of things to be tragic. As for the other names, Canon is a stylized reference to Canon, one of the original three moons. But Aralos is more ambiguous. It could be another name for Arya, or maybe an anagram of Solar or Solara. That's significant because in ancient Teyvat lore, the three Moon Sisters rode a lunar carriage across the night sky, while a solar chariot traveled the skies during the day. During the Great War of Vengeance, that solar chariot was said to have crash-landed into the chasm. But the people there repaired it and eventually sent it back to the sky. So if Aralos is tied to the solar chariot, then Notcry is really the place where a lot of Genshin's ancient lore will be completely demystified. I hope. So those are my initial thoughts and theories on the brand new Song of the Welkin Moon teaser, Moonlit Ballad of the Night. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video. I'm your sleepy lore keeper Minzlif, and I'm going to bed. Good night.